comes to our, at least for now, final Bendy Link Machine video, unless there's more secrets that we have to divulge and discover. But hopefully we'll soon just have Bendy in the Dark Revival videos and no more Bendy Link Machine. It's all going to be in the same playlist if you happen to be in the playlist. But before Bendy and the Dark Revival comes out, we wanted to go over a few things that we didn't see as a group for Chapter 5 and go over some secrets and theories, and Ariel needs a review because Ariel has forgotten things. So,
oh my god, I was just like, who is who again? Like, what's our name?
Well, I know.
I forgot everything.
I need a refresher too, because, like, in my last video, I realized I said Lacey instead of Linda. Linda was the mechanic, and I realized that was a mistake, so I even, like, made mistakes, so I needed a refresher too for going over this, so.
That's funny.
Yep, so we're going to get our refresher, go over lots and lots of theories and stuff like that. And now Alden's here.
And we have a PowerPoint presentation for you, Crockett Dommets.
So you can see we're doing this theory video a little differently this time. Usually we just go into the chapter and explore things there. But since we're going to be discussing things throughout multiple chapters, that's going to take way too long to try to load up all of those saves. Plus, you only have 3 saves anyways. So I made a PowerPoint, a very intense 56-slide PowerPoint. Which is a 16-page script.
So proud.
Yeah, so it's a little intense, but I think it'll keep everything nice and organized. So without further ado, let's begin, because we have a lot to cover. So things we missed. So there's just a few simple things we missed. I'm not going to do a ton of things with that. But for our first run through of Chapter 5, we missed the Meatly, of course, because we usually do. He was in the Butcher King maze behind a sheep song poster, as always. And also, fun little thing we missed, you can see this heart. We have a mouse. Oh, cool, you see mouse. You see this heart here. It's by the ink machine across from the Chester, and if you click on it, it screams like the projectionist. And that was found. I found that from Michael's Badham stuff. But I'm sure other people have found that as well. It's not like that much of a secret, but that's who I found it from. So secrets, big secrets we've missed. Well, we have this lovely secret passageway and a whole secret weapon in the loop that we've completely missed. So the first one we're going to go over the secret passageway. This I found from Adobe Out Design, and a hacker I'll mention is from, I'm not going to pronounce that right, ERTYEZ, Riz.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was found is that when you hack behind the boarded up area by the bed frame, where there's a door behind it, no one that I've seen has ever gotten to this door legitly. At least hacking-wise, we don't see anything significant about this door, but the Meatly and Mike Moon know people hack the games. Plus, there are certain things you can't do once you start floating around through the walls. So I wouldn't rule out that this door is insignificant, especially since they put a dark, like, wall. Like, I don't have a picture of it here, but there's basically, like, a black wall in between this. So from your normal perspective here, where you're standing, you cannot see this door. For that words, yeah. But Adobe Out Design had some ideas of what might be involved to get to this door. There are 2 levers that you can pull at the boat dock, because this is right before you get on the boat. So maybe, like, moving those in a certain order, it would be able to trigger it. There's also 2 random axes lying around that are in nearby places that you can't get to, which is odd. Plus, there's 3 searchers that spawn in this hall, but will disappear and not spawn again if you walk away from them, which most searchers will appear if you walk away from them, or they'll chase you. But these guys, if you walk far enough, they'll disappear and then not reappear again, which is weird. Plus, the image for this chapter is literally this, like, facing this secret passageway with this door. Like, that is the picture for this chapter, which is suspicious. But I don't know anything else besides there's this random one, and where it's located is basically, like, where this X is here on, where it says I know the way. It's, like, literally right here is where that passageway is. So it's a little suspicious, and we don't know what to do about it, but there it is. So, the fun thing, I don't know, it would be cool if we find that out eventually, but another time. So, the next secret that we missed is in Chapter 5. It's doable, it's just very hard to do. So, first off, you can't die to do this puzzle, which isn't impossible, you just have to be careful. So, the next thing you have to do is activate every jump flash per chapter. So, Chapter 2, we have our Miner Searcher. Chapter 3, we got our lovely Top Pad Searcher when you do the lever puzzle. And Chapter 4 is killing Brute Boris with the empty cans of bacon soup. And if you do all that without dying, you can get to this part. So, what next, if you do all that, and you kill the Butcher Gang in the Butcher Gang maze, you can get the Scythe, which is an odd weapon to find in the studio. But once you find the Scythe, searchers start spawning in the maze, and then you go to Joey's Drew office, and you find a searcher with Sammy's mask, which is the whole thing, because we just murdered him. But we know he can come back anyways. But now if you continue through the game and finish the game with that, and I don't know if you have to survive the full game or not from this point, but I would assume so, because that's a thing that I'm sure they would make you do. If you go back to Chapter 1, something is different. So if you go to the area where you can save and find the book Illusion of Living, the area that is boarded up is now gone. You can now go through this passageway that was previously boarded up. And what's crazy about that is that you go in and you find this inky tunnel, like if you had died, and then you walk through the tunnel and you appear back in Chapter 1 with like everything a different color. And that's it. That's all we know. It leads to nothing.
Whoa.
I do feel like it's really important because, like, you had to do all these steps to get here, and it seems really significant, but who knows what it means. So any comments on that before we move on?
Wow. I mean, that's a pretty big deal, it seems like.
It seems like a pretty big deal, but I have no idea what the heck it means.
I mean, it kind of goes with what we were saying before. I feel like with the whole, you're in a time loop. Whenever we die, we go through this inky tunnel, like you just said, and we keep playing. So it's kind of like we just have started the time loop over again on our own.
Yeah, and I'm curious, like, as far as I have seen from anyone, no one's found any extra secrets beside this, but that doesn't mean that they're not there either. So, like, this could trigger something else, and we just haven't discovered it because this game is so complicated that that's what it's like, even though it's been out, I don't even know how long now since the full release. I feel like almost a year, if not months. So, it's crazy what secrets are stuck here. So, there are two other things we didn't really go over since the last chapter. We didn't see the archives at all. We didn't go to them. Because we just finished Chapter 5 and that was it. And then we also haven't seen any of the Invisible Ink. Ariel, I don't think you've seen a single piece of Invisible Ink, really. At least I went.
Yeah, maybe not.
So we have both those things to kind of explore. So let's take a walk.
Okay. Maybe not like that.
Maybe not like that. So we're going to go into Bendy. So we're going to walk around the archives just real quick, and then we're going to look at Invisible Ink in Chapter 1, and then I have screenshots of the rest of the ink, because we're not going to walk through all the chapters. Oh, that's right. Sorry, I made the keyboard really hard to get to, because I forgot that we were going to walk.
Are you going to read it, or...?
We can if you want. Bendy and the Ink Machine began when the developer cartoonist known as the Meatley experimented with bringing a sketch 2D style into a 3D world. After turning the idea into a horror game, Chapter 1 of the game was created in a little under a week with programmer /Fred Mike Mood and released on February 10th in 2017. Much to their surprise, it struck a chord with the global indie gamers almost overnight. The Meatley and Mike Mood decided to drop all other projects to work on Bendy and tell a most unique ink story. The entire game was completed a chapter at a time in a year and a half by a small but dedicated group of indie developers. Although the concept and story remained as originally intended, the game changed over development as characters and models were refined from their earlier thrown-together versions. This archive is a peek behind the scenes at that process.
Cool.
You may walk around and explore. I don't want to read all of these, though.
Oh, okay.
No, they're long.
Do you want, like, are you saying you want me to read, or you want me to just look around?
I haven't decided.
Okay.
I don't think
Guess
Henry.
I'll walk on here because he's Henry.
Yep, that's actually how you get an achievement, but it doesn't pop up because I already have it.
Oh, okay.
But you
I was
get
gonna
it.
say, I'll just stand here for the rest of eternity.
But yeah, I think this is Henry. Yeah, it's not as interesting.
Okay.
This one's interesting though. Ariel,
Yeah.
you haven't seen this at all, have you? I
For
might
some
have
reason
shown
I feel
it
like
to
I
you.
have.
I might have
Yeah.
given you a picture of it.
He's got the
Yeah.
T-pose going.
God, this one you can read. I think this one's interesting to read because we never saw this one. Oh, me? Okay.
Oh, I can read if you want me to.
Your
read.
turn.
Alright. Concept Bendy. This is the first version of Bendy ever modeled. In the earliest concepts, Bendy was much smaller and cuter, with a face that split open to reveal a terrifying mouth.
No.
Yeah.
It's so clear why they didn't go with that.
Yeah, that's a thing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
His teeth really remind me of alligator teeth, but I'm sure like a lot of teeth look like alligator teeth. We do have Alpha Bendy. This is the original game used design of Ink Bendy from the earliest versions of Chapter 1 is jokingly referred to as bird poop with a smile among the development team.
Yes.
Remember that Bendy long ago.
Long ago.
Long
It's a
ago.
good Bendy.
It is a good Bendy. Ariel, you want to read Beta Bendy?
Yes. Beta Bendy. This was Ink Bendy's form until the release of Chapter 4. At that time, the game received a major visual upgrade, and the title character got a new model as well.
This is actually my favorite design of Bendy. This is
It's
my
a good
favorite.
one.
Yeah. This is the one. What I really miss, you can keep walking as I ramble. What I really miss about from this Bendy here is that this one doesn't do like its whole like looking around thing or like come out and be like, where the heck, who cut my cutouts? You know, remember how Bendy used to do
Yeah.
that? He doesn't do
Yes.
that anymore. So
True.
that's why I really like the old Bendy because he made me laugh more. It was fun to mess around with. But I do like this one's smile. But yeah, Ink Bendy as we know him today, although similar to Beta Bendy, the upgraded version was remodeled, enhancing with a higher polygon count and given new ink effects. And his ink effects are pretty cool.
Yeah, he looks
Yes.
scarier or whatever,
He
but we
does
kind of
look
liked the slightly silliness of the
I did. I really like the slightly silliness of the last one.
Yeah.
Fun fact: we're gonna get to part 3 of our video. We're probably getting a new Bendy design for the next game, which you'll see
Really?
eventually. Yeah, I'll show you it. It's a thing.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yep, that's part 3 of our video. Yep,
Okay.
and that's Beast Bendy. Was there anything fun about this? He's horrifying. Yep, and he's not
He's
cartoon
horrifying.
anymore. Yep, that's all we need from that info there.
Mm.
We've got some pictures on the wall. What do we got? Beta Searcher. We remember Beta Searcher.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't need much about Beta Searcher.
No.
Final Searcher. He's robust, smoother, better ink effects. Yep. Oh yes, Beta Sammy.
Beta Sammy.
Let's see. Fan favorite Sammy Lawrence became a terrifying, entertaining character. With his slim build, was deemed not threatening enough. He was redesigned and given a better skeletal rig for more advanced animation. Because yeah, he did nothing.
Yeah.
Before Final Sammy, form came complete with
Daddy
the bolt
Sammy.
He's a Daddy Sammy. He's got the abs. It's more powerful limbs. The mad songwriter may finally get noticed now, at least by fans.
But wouldn't a daddy have like a dad bod?
No,
Depends
Daddy like
on
Zaddy.
Oh, daddy. Okay, sorry. Daddy and dad, definitely different.
The previous one, you're right, is Dad Bod Sammy, and this is Daddy Sammy.
I feel bad for the searcher that's locked in this container. I forgot that it's locked in this little container.
Oh,
I guess because
man.
he's still alive.
I got...
The other one's a
That's
mouse.
even worse.
I know, because he follows you.
Oh my
well,
god.
You know, do you prefer to be locked there or in the studio? Hard to tell.
It's hard to say, that's
Hard
for
to
sure.
say. We got Alice and Allison. They don't have words.
Yeah.
There they are. There's Tom.
Good old Tom.
Oh, Beta Boris.
Beta Boris. Oh, that was
Beta
the
Boris.
scariest thing.
It was. That's honestly, I think, the most frightening thing still.
I agree. Yeah, it was so creepy, and it really, like, I don't know, when you first play, if you don't know anything about it, it, like, really gets you.
It was a thing. Ugh,
Yeah.
it was intense. And then we got normal Boris.
I like good old normal Boris.
Good old normal Boris, chapter 3 Boris.
Hmm.
I think there was, wait, go back there. I think there was like one thing that's funny in there. Although at times he was a headache for the development team due to his AI taking on a mind of his own during production. I can see that. Him just going crazy. Like, I'm gonna walk over here.
Yeah.
Alice Angel's Brute Boris. The biggest
I don't like
surprise is
Brute
chapter
Boris.
4. You don't or do?
Do not.
Do not.
Look at him.
Yeah, look at him. Can you do me a favor and try and look inside his chest for me for a future theory? Okay, thank you.
It looks like a hand.
It looks like a thing that I'll explain later, not in this part.
It looks like a hand.
It's very hand-like. Alright, I think that's, is there anything, I think there's something in the center. Yeah, the ink machine. The original ink machine.
Original.
Used in the game, much as kind of fan-love design was translated into the final version, yep. I remember this ink machine. Oh, and then we got, Butcher Gang and Bertram over there.
Butcher gang, butcher gang, butcher gang.
No words for them, just there's his head. I do love the Butcher Gang. Oh, they got words. Piper, Striker, and Fisher make the dreaded Butcher Gang interesting. The incorrupted versions of the characters were designed first and then were reversed, engineered back into their more family-friendly cartoon forms, which is interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So, the archives, obviously, there's not really any secrets here, unless you really didn't know about a lot of things going into the game or other, you know, of how it was made or didn't start from the beginning. But it's a nice little, like, area that has things, so...
yeah.
That's it. Now we're gonna go to chapter 1.
Okay, Joey.
You should be able to right-click will bring up the scene tool.
Joey.
There we go.
I'm
So,
here.
I'll let you explore
see
that
what
for
you
now,
find you wanted
since
me to
this is
see.
new to you and I believe new to Ariel.
Yes,
I
this is
can't
new to
move
me.
when I have this.
No, you can't. It's a thing, so you have to decide where you're at, and then...
That is annoying.
Yeah. I understand why, because then it makes it harder to, like, see things. There's a lot of things, like, in the beginning. There's actually probably mostly in chapter 1 things. A lot of...
Joey drew nothing.
Ooh. Got him.
Death in every direction, not all.
Dreams come
true.
Oh. What?
Exit. Okay. Should I just play? Or
You want to go to one room for me first?
Okay, right.
Go towards, like, the exit. Go straight. Go explore over there. And I'll interrupt you at something. Hey, Ariel's got, like, this whole part highlighted for me.
Oh, oops.
You're good.
That's how I read through things. I just highlight them.
That's all good.
he was born here.
He was, which means Henry created him, which we already kind of
Ah.
So we
Yeah.
have all
Looks
these
like they knocked out
invisible
all or two
golden
after I
messages,
left.
and now
Guess it
the
took a few
Dreamfisher
people to
found
replace me.
something that may explain why we don't see any more of these messages. Because you could, as we passed by in the beginning, we saw a lot of tally marks. There's exactly 414 tally marks, and no matter as far as
Did you
you're
count?
aware, I didn't. It's actually
You
the
didn't
same.
even double check?
Oh,
I
sorry,
might
Bendy.
have actually. And I don't remember, but it's actually the same picture, just copy pasted, which makes it nice and easy for them. That's how you
Yeah.
get 414.
Yeah.
But they actually believe if you look into this bathroom here,
Bendy's trying to go
if
to the
you
bathroom.
look back up slightly, it's like I can see it sometimes. Try to look on top of that toilet. No, not with that, just normally. Yeah, you see it sometimes, but you can see there's an object. Yeah, you can see that object on top of it. So, like, I know the Dreamfisher, you can leave and do whatever you want now. So there's a spray can on top of it. So they believe that the spray can is how Henry or whoever's writing these messages might be actually be making the golden messages, and it might actually be something that you would paint normally on normal ink and then actually spray on, so then it would stick and create the golden messages based off like what because they've gone through a lot of the game files. We haven't talked about the Dreamfisher's theories before because I don't think I had discovered them at this point. But they have 5 million, and we're going to bring up a lot of them today. So it's possible that the reason why we can't have any more golden messages is because it is locked away here, and Henry has no access to it if Henry is writing the messages. We're going to talk a lot more about these messages in part 2, like half the video. There's a lot of things to talk about. And as Alden goes through the chapter, just go about as you want, but I want to talk about candles. I had a lot of fun with candles as I was looking up theories. So I was keeping an eye on candles for another reason, but I discovered something while staring at every single candle I could find. So there's 2 types of candles in this game. There's candles that are made out of bacon soup cans. And then bacon
soup candle.
Like half a bacon soup and then a candle in it. And then there are tall white candles. There are 2 types. So
I'm tall white Ariel.
I was about to say, please, we prefer Caucasian.
Yeah.
So the idea was for the white candles is that they're related to Sammy. The reason why was for a completely different theory than I'm about to propose. But I wanted to confirm what I was thinking. So I was like, alright, I'm going to look at all these candles, and I'm going to take note of them. So the location of these candles, every single one that I have found, I'll tell you. So they're by Dead Boris in Chapter 1. Chapter 1 immediately by some sheet music right before the end of Chapter 1. A lot of places near the beginning of Chapter 2, like the circle that you pass out in, by offerings, by Bendy cut out with a pentagram. There's also one by the music department sign, some in Sammy's office, the sanctuary, the closet, and when we're tied up. Chapter 3, there are none. Absolutely none of these white candles. Chapter 4, there are some by a swollen searcher that has the Sammy mask nearby on the ground and on the organ and on the walls of the haunted house. In that big room where you fight Boris. Chapter 5, there are 3 in the hallway tunnel leading to the boat, and there's a lot right before he pops out and feels really betrayed. So that's a lot of candles. So first I want to establish, do we think these candles equal Sammy? So I did some math because I'm Sammy. Talking too fast. But I did some math because I'm a little crazy.
We are Sammy.
Out of these 16-ish locations that have 1 or more candles at them, there's 62 to 75% of these candles relate some way to Sammy, whether that be by his mask, some music, phrases he says, things like that. Or we can think of it this way too, out of the 9-ish places that are related to Sammy, 77% of those places also have those candles by them. So a good majority of the candles, of white candles, are around Sammy. So do you think, based off this evidence I have collected, that there is some correlation between Sammy and these candles? And that's to you, Ariel.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I've noticed because like the second part of my stats were the 9-ish places that are like, this is where Sammy is, we know for sure. There's only like a few of those places, and I think only 2, is that how you get 77? 7 out of 9 of those places have candles. Hold on.
Yeah!
Okay.
Nice. So those 2 places that don't have candles are, one is in Chapter 3 when we hear his voice, when you play the instruments, and then Chapter 5 where he appears after you get the scythe. And the thing is, this is the place where that if you do all the things, this is where it unlocks. That's where it is. But anyways, out of those two places are also kind of secret things. They're not like places you see Sammy. Normally you have to do things to trigger Sammy. So if you think of all the places you just see Sammy kind of around, there's always candles there, but there's also a lot of extra candles around too, that may or may not relate to Sammy, depending on how much we want to trust them.
I see.
But I think I'm at a point right now where I'm like, if I see candles, I'm like, maybe Sammy's gonna show up. But that's probably all the real thought I'm gonna put into it. But that is, that's where I'm at. So yeah, candles equals Sammy, maybe. Which we can bring up later. And then there's only one more thing I wanted to point out because of that. So, if we say Sammy equals candles, what is interesting is if you go to Boris's room, which will look like we're probably going to head there in a second. There was the Dream Fisher had talked about how it's been hinted that different people have killed this Boris in chapter 1. So like the Bendy Twitter makes a post like, oh Joey, like while looking at this picture, like what were you doing? You know, Henry mentions Joey like right here when he walks in to the room, and then in the invisible ink it says, I think it says she's heartless. Yeah, so it says she's heartless, which implies that this was Alice's doing and not Joey's. But then as I pointed out my candles, you can look up. There's those candles. Sammy's candles. So now I'm going to throw Sammy into the mix here. So who do you think messed with this Boris? Is it one of them? Is it all of them? And I don't think it actually really matters that much because at this point it doesn't really matter who messed with this Boris, I think, to figure out. It doesn't solve anything for us if we figure it out. It doesn't lead to anything else. But just for funsie, who do you think murdered and took out the heart of this Boris?
I mean, this is kind of a challenging one. I think it also could be layered. Like, she could have taken, like, Alice could have taken the heart, and then Sammy could have come in, placed his candles, and wrote she's heartless, like a Paul.
Like, he could have just been here and just been doing some ceremonies and then left. And then, like, well, Joey's not kind of in the studio, but, like, yeah, she could have gone, took out his heart, and then Sammy came around and was like, ah, yes, worship. And then...
so that's kind of weird. I just think it can't be Alice because on the ground is written, she's heartless, and I don't think she would write that, you know?
I definitely don't. The thing is, and we're going to discuss in the next part a lot, who could be writing it, or multiple could be writing it. So we'll get to that. But yeah, the thing is, I think most of the time we assume it's Henry just based off what is written.
Okay.
But that definitely, I don't know if that's something we should actually assume, because it's just hard to tell. There's certain things he says, you're like, yeah, that sounds like something Henry would say, and then certain things in the same handwriting, you're like, that's not something that would make sense for Henry to say. So it gets a little difficult with that.
Yeah.
And I think with that, we've seen most of the invisible ink in chapter 1. Anything that's like really important I'm going to bring up in later theories, but I figured we'd just take a look around real quick, and then I actually have pictures of all the rest mostly. So we'll just look at the pictures from now on. Thank you, Alden, for exploring the chapter.
Okay.
Now, these pictures of ink I've acquired, they're not like I've super searched for them super secretly. Like, I just like, yes, there it is. And I've realized as I did them that some of them didn't save, so this isn't even like for sure all of them. Like, it's for sure missing like 1 or 2. Because I realized as I went back, I was like, oh, I didn't save number 10. But whatever. So in chapter 2, we have these coffins.
Okay.
We have Say Hello to Sammy. Down below, we have Deceived. This one's an important one we're going to talk about later. We have, the coffin ones, too, we're going to talk about later, too. Bertram and Lacey. Ouch, this is where you get hit in the head. So Naive, this is by Susie's audio tape. What's That Smell? You're in the Sewer. I Don't Sing with Psychos. Creator, You Traitor, it's right by Build Your Machine audio, so it's probably a reference to that. Booze, where Bendy pops out. It Doesn't End Here, which is when Bendy's chasing you. And that's it for chapter 2. It's not a lot in chapter 2. Chapter 3, we have a little bit more. We got some areas to cover. We got, turn this into like kind of the Beast Bendy of the clock. Says, I'm sorry, buddy. That's something we're going to talk about later, too. Reminds me of home, which is interesting because that picture, I think, is in Joey's house, which is a thing. So we have a lot of it's top of the morning, because that's, I think, a line that was said there. His dream, my effort. That's something that makes me really feel like that's Henry writing this. This is in, like, if you go the demon route, in Joey's area. You know, I don't think I ever
Okay.
took a picture of whatever was in Alice's area now that I think about it. So, yep, that's another thing we're missing.
But
We're
this
all
was
his
also
playthings.
a thing with like a lot of the workers, right? They all felt like he was the idea guy, and they all put in the effort, right? Not
Yes,
just
I definitely agree with that. Because even like Grant, he would say like all these big dreams. Like I don't have fun. You don't have funding for these big dreams
oh yeah.
and stuff like that.
And the
So
guy who did the amusement park, I thought was pretty
yep,
pissed.
Bertram. Yeah, he would work
Yeah.
with it too. So really, it could be really anyone besides Joey writing these.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to point out. We're all his playthings. We always fall right by the elevator. Did they deserve this? Which I think is kind of interesting. That's by the Butcher Gang, because we don't really go much into the Butcher Gang or anything about them.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Where Alice is talking. So be kind to people. It should be which is like a picture that saved weird, and so it's before the people you meet on the way up. Because how can anyone resist this? Is just by the instruments, but because you're going to meet the same people on the way down, and that's throughout a lot of the floors. Going.
Oh, okay.
Through. The drinks were on Joey. This is where you first see Norman on, I forget what level this is. It's where you collect the Swollen
The
Searchers ink.
basement.
It's level...
Basement.
No, 14's the lowest floor. 14, 9... This might be 11. This might be
Basement.
11. I forget. Why am I doing this? Doing Alice's things. Friend or foe. I think this is written in the projectionist area, which is interesting too. But it's also written by a Butcher Gang, so that's like 2 references to like Butcher Gangs being kinder, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Curse's elevator. This one is hard to get because it's like on the elevator as it moves. But there's that. There's also this one I didn't save, but it was important, so I like saved it from like the internet. But it says Susie on that coffin way over there, but I don't have a good image of that. And who am I now is what it says in the mirror. And then chapter 4 was he can't be saved. I'm assuming Boris. This is Beefy over here. There's a heart. Could
Companion
be. Yeah, I was like, we
cube.
think it's a shout out to the companion cube because why else?
Oh,
would it be
yeah.
there? Exit, which is very interesting. This is where before you see the lost ones in chapter 4, you have to walk up, and then Alice like rambles about like, "Are you trying to save Boris? You better hurry!" And like before you do that, if you like go down the stairs slightly and look at this door, it says exit, which is weird because we can't ever reach this door. This is as close as you can get. She's toying with you. This is my favorite sofa. Regrets, Joey. And then we got this mustache on Bendy. Reliving the past does not change it. Dream too big and you will fail. Except they spelled too wrong.
No, I think
is
it's
it
to
dream-
dream big.
Dream big.
No, to dream big.
To dream big. That makes
And you
more
will fail.
sense. Please don't cry for this little lost one. It never moves. Good to know. Again and again, around and around. This is by Bertram.
Oh, again and again, it's a song by 2 p.m.
Oh, there you go. Time wounds all heals.
Heels is a bad guy in
For
wrestling.
wrestling, yep.
So maybe it's saying that bad guys will heal.
There you go. There's this lovely door, which I took a picture afterwards. This is where Bendy drags the projectionist into after he takes off his head. That's the Joey I knew. That was by his tape where he, like, it shows him being more, like, angry and be like, oh, we gotta talk about dreaming. People eat up that stuff, but he's, like, angry. There's no turning back now, right before the haunted house, and that's it. And that's
All right.
it. Yeah, so that's all our things. And that's actually where we're going to end part 1. So we didn't go over a ton of theories this time, but we're going to talk about, next part we're going to talk a lot about the invisible ink, who's writing it, how they're writing it, does it stay, does it appear each loop, all things about that. And we're going to talk a lot about coffins and corpses and why we have as many coffins as we do, and what does it mean when some characters disappear when they die and others stay, and all of that meeting. So that is what's coming up in part 2, in case you are curious. But thank you for watching. We're going to get into a lot of theories very soon. So thank you. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.